At the beginning of the last century, it was thought an improved understanding of electromagnetism offered the best way forward for astronomy. It is easy, therefore, to feel frustrated at the pace of progress in the space sciences. Although most sciences have come on in leaps and bounds in recent decades, cosmology, the study of the nature of the universe, has fallen behind. Sure, space missions have enjoyed many remarkable successes, but is this a testament to the technicians or the theoreticians? The latter are continually surprised by findings that almost always contradict expectations. Quote,
It is surprising that they continue to be surprised by all the surprises.
Close quote. Wal Thornhill. The James Webb Space Telescope has ramped up the cognitive dissonance recently, with one astronomer even crying, "Panic!" The spiraling filamentary structure of the universe, now seen more clearly than ever, is expected from an electrical plasma perspective. There are two basic reasons for the foot-dragging that characterises astrophysics today. Firstly, it works with only one tool in its box, gravity. Theories based on the gravity-only premise were codified back when oil and gas provided the lighting, and have since solidified into dogma. Although electricity plays a big part in our modern world, needless to say, bizarrely it has yet to find its way into the lexicon of cosmology, at least in any meaningful way. Secondly, astrophysics today is dominated by mathematicians, some say mathemagicians, and factoring in plasma and electromagnetism would mess up their elegant equations. It's easier to turn a blind eye. Hannes Alfvén, the father of plasma physics and plasma cosmology, injected some wit into the situation. Quote,
"The underlying assumptions of cosmologists today are developed with the most sophisticated mathematical methods, and it is only the plasma itself which does not understand how beautiful the theories are and absolutely refuses to obey them."
Close quote. Although some magnetism is stirred into standard models, this is only a baby step in the right direction. It is sometimes amusing when consensus scientists claim they don't ignore electrodynamics, while simultaneously admitting to their disdain for the subject. This quote from Dr. Phil Plait, aka the Bad Astronomer, underlines their quandary. Quote,
"Magnetism is a very important topic in astrophysics, despite some pseudoscientists lying and saying this force is ignored. But it's not well understood. It's fiendishly complex, so much so that it's a joke in astronomy."
Close quote. Alfvén again put the real issue more succinctly. Quote,
"In order to understand the phenomena in a certain plasma region, it is necessary to map not only the magnetic but also the electric field and the electric currents."
Close quote. Despite flying in the face of consensus for most of his career, Alfvén was eventually awarded the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1970. His criticism of the Big Bang, it has to be said, rankled with the powers that be. He was not known for pulling his punches. Here's another classic Alfvén uppercut. Quote,
"Students using astrophysical textbooks remain essentially ignorant of even the existence of plasma concepts, despite the fact that some of them have been known for half a century."
Close quote. Before Alfvén, another Scandinavian, Christian Birkeland, provoked controversy when he demonstrated that the auroras were electrically powered with his famous Torella experiments. Now recognised as fact, his work was initially laughed at. A timeline is emerging. In 2024, we can now safely say that the importance of plasma and electromagnetism in space has been downplayed, when not dismissed or ignored, for more than a century. It seems science took a wrong turn when idealized gravity-only models, based largely on mathematical speculations, began to take precedence over traditional empiricism. Some blame Einstein for this, although in my recent blog, Einstein and the Cult of Celebrity, I argued that he was as much a victim as a genius. Quote,
"As far as the laws of mathematics refer to reality, they are not certain. And as far as they are certain, they do not refer to reality."
Close quote. Albert Einstein. Science is supposed to be a self-correcting mechanism. The question therefore arises, how long will it take before plasma and electromagnetism find their rightful place at the heart of cosmology? Little wonder some joke that science proceeds funeral by funeral. More symptoms of the malaise. The growing complexity of the space sciences is another big giveaway. Most scientific advances, after all, are characterized by simplicity. Computer processors, for example, grow faster and more efficient with fewer connections, much like automatic gearboxes in motor vehicles that require fewer moving parts than manual stick control mechanisms. Nature also abhors inefficiency, or so we are told. It seems strange, then, that she would ignore the utility of the electric force, given that it is 10 to the power of 39 times stronger than gravity. Quote,
"And even if one regards the electric fields as merely another postulate, it has the great advantage that it is the one postulate which, in my view, renders all the others unnecessary."
C.E.R. Bruce, Electric Fields in Space, 1968. Cosmology right now, it can't be denied, relies on an ever-expanding array of exotic hypotheticals like dark matter and dark energy. They're required to paper over the cracks and, as if this wasn't bad enough, they are also called upon to behave in truly magical ways, hiding from observation while simultaneously shaping galaxies. To make things worse, such speculations are all too often talked about as if they were beyond reasonable doubt. So much for Occam's razor. Quote,
It is an embarrassment that the dominant forms of matter in the universe remain hypothetical.
Close quote. Jim Peebles, Princeton. Reasons to be cheerful. Research papers acknowledging the role of electricity in space are breaking through with increasing regularity, even if academic papers researching dark stuff still outnumber them many times over. Interestingly, some of these papers appear to tone down their terminology, perhaps cognizant of the fact that something of a taboo still applies to electricity in space. The Coulomb universe is just another way of saying electric universe, of course. There are more examples. Here we can see tentative steps away from imaginary dark stuff towards electromagnetism. This paper from 2017 is more bold. It is titled, quote, "The external energy supply to the Sun is overwhelmingly obvious and has recently been detected by space probes," close quote. And atop page 5, it reminds us that, quote, "Under the standard solar model, the origin and mechanism of the Sun's magnetic field are still mysterious," close quote. The door is ajar and the plasma universe is pushing, with some papers occasionally getting through, but there are boots behind it. These metaphorical boots are peer review and, well, just sheer bloody-mindedness. Sooner or later, though, the door will give. Quote,
The peer review system often creates near insurmountable hurdles against the publication of data that seems contrary to long-held beliefs.
Close quote. Dr. Friedman T. Freund. Consider the following quotes which highlight the science vis-a-vis science denial farrago we witness today. First quote.
A cosmic jet, 2 billion light years away, is carrying the highest electric current ever seen. 10 to the power of 18 amps, equivalent to 1 trillion bolts of lightning.
Close quote. NewScientist.com, 2011. Second quote.
The jets have been shown not to be electric currents. The energy and the physics involved are certainly not electromagnetic.
Close quote. Viz.org, also 2011. No explanation is offered for the second quote. Casual dismissal is considered sufficient, presumably. The trouble is that once the door is opened to plasmas and electromagnetism, there will be no going back, and they know it. Looking back to the future. As mentioned at the outset, there is nothing very new about the plasma or electric universe. It is merely regaining ground that was lost when science took a wrong turn marked gravity only. No later than 1937, Alfvén proposed that our galaxy contained a large-scale magnetic field, and that charged particles moved in spiral orbits within it, owing to forces exerted by the field. Plasmas carry the electrical currents that create the magnetic field. More than 100 years ago, some notables went further. Michael Faraday, for example, often thought about experiments that could connect gravity and electromagnetism. Quote,
"No terms could exaggerate the value of the relation they would establish."
Close quote. Michael Faraday, 1850. In 1908, Henry Poincare, a gifted all-rounder and philosopher of science, said, quote,
"What we call mass would appear to be nothing but an appearance, and all inertia to be of electromagnetic origin."
Close quote. It seems they were looking for simplification in the 19th century, whereas today we seem to be obsessed with inventing new forces and particles. Awards are even handed out for such speculations. Before Faraday, William Weber derived an electrical gravitational force law and even had a planetary model of the atom. This was 40 years before Bohr and Rutherford. Today, most textbooks would tell us that electromagnetism and gravity must be unconnected because electromagnetism can be shielded, whereas gravity cannot. Such a view is too simplistic, however. Interestingly, in 2016, the US Department of Navy filed the following patent application for a mass reduction device utilizing electromagnetic waves. Paraphrasing, the patent states that it works because we live in a plasma universe. The electric universe represents a paradigm shift. It does not claim to have all of the answers, but it will at least point us back in the right direction. The forthcoming revolution in cosmology will herald a new renaissance. They say the future is what we make it. So strap yourselves in and enjoy the ride in our electric universe.
Thank you.